So I just got done watching ESPN's SportsCenter, and they had this really intense segment about the Golden State Warriors that honestly covered a lot of the chaos surrounding this franchise right now. The show started with the frustrating news about Porzingis missing more time, but then the conversation evolved into this fascinating discussion about roster construction and what the Warriors actually need to compete. That's when Cam Whitmore came up as a young player who could potentially fit perfectly with what Golden State is trying to build. Hey, what's up, everyone? Real quick before we get into everything. That like button is literally what determines if this reaches hundreds or thousands of fans. Takes 1 second, but makes a huge impact on the channel's growth. Just smash that like button right now. It's the easiest thing you can do, but honestly, the biggest way to support this content. Every single like pushes this further, so hit it now. Let me walk you through everything that happened on the program. Because the analysts covered so much ground, the panel kicked things off with some terrible news that has Warriors fans pulling their hair out. According to Anthony Slater, Porzingis did not make the trip to New Orleans with the team. It's a quick two-gamer with a back-to-back in Memphis, so naturally you wouldn't expect Porzingis to play in a back-to-back anyway, but him not even making the trip is especially significant. This would indicate that Porzingis, who was ruled out with illness on Sunday, is expected to miss at least the next 2 games. One analyst provided the context from Steve Kerr's pregame comments. Kerr said he hadn't talked to Porzingis, that he just got a text in the morning saying KP was sick and at the hotel and wouldn't even be able to come to the arena. He emphasized that Porzingis was pretty sick, which is concerning given what we know about his long-term health challenges. The panel then discussed something that many casual fans might not know about. Porzingis has a condition called POTS, which is an autoimmune disease that stays with him forever. This is something that's been affecting his professional career since last season with the Celtics. When he was out there on the floor with Boston in the postseason dealing with this, he just wasn't the same player. He couldn't get up and down the court normally, he was fatigued, and at times he was a net negative on the basketball court. So trying to play through it didn't work, but now he just misses time entirely. And he's also missed time this season with Achilles tendonitis. The bottom line is, you can never get him healthy consistently. The frustration in the discussion was palpable. Here's a guy who only played 17 minutes in his debut, looked solid with 12 points on efficient shooting, showcased floor spacing and rim protection, and then immediately gets sick and misses multiple games. He literally said, after his debut, that he wants more minutes, he wants a bigger role, he wants more involvement in the rotation, and then he can't even make the trip because he's too sick. The numbers are genuinely embarrassing when you look at them objectively. Porzingis has only played in 18 out of approximately 56 to 59 available games this season. That's a participation rate that makes it nearly impossible to build chemistry or rely on him for anything meaningful. The analysts called it another indictment on the front office, and it's hard to argue with that assessment. The Jonathan Kuminga trade was discussed in harsh terms. One analyst suggested that everyone should just give up the fantasy story and the fairy tale that this trade was about acquiring as talented of a big as the Warriors have ever seen. He argued that the trade was really about salary dumping Kuminga and sending him to the Eastern Conference. It didn't matter what player returned to Golden State. They've had interest in Porzingis in the past, but the reason they were able to get him this time was because nobody wanted him and nobody wanted Kuminga. It was the trade of 2 players nobody wanted, and who knows how much either one is even going to play for their respective franchises at this point. Interestingly, the Hawks have upgraded Kuminga to questionable for their game against the Wizards, with the expectation that he'll make his Atlanta debut. The analysts noted they'll be watching closely to see him play in an environment that doesn't revolve around Steph Curry and off-ball movement. It'll be a chance to see if he can put his money where his mouth is in terms of being a future all-star who needs the ball. This led directly into the Cam Whitmore discussion because the Warriors clearly need young wing talent who can actually stay on the court and develop within their system. The panel made this compelling case for why Whitmore could be exactly what Golden State needs if they're serious about building for both the present and future. The technical breakdown of Whitmore's game was really interesting. He's a 21-year-old wing who was traded to the Washington Wizards and has shown flashes of scoring ability with averages around 9 points per game in approximately 17 minutes of action. That kind of production in limited minutes suggests there's real scoring talent there that could blossom with more opportunity and better coaching. The athleticism component was emphasized heavily. Whitmore has natural scoring ability combined with the physical tools to be a dynamic offensive weapon. He can get to the rim, he can create his own shot, and he has the explosiveness that makes him a threat in transition. For a Warriors team that sometimes looks stagnant offensively without Steph Curry, adding that kind of athletic burst could provide a much-needed spark. The defensive potential was discussed as particularly important for Golden State's system. The Warriors have always valued players who can pressure ball handlers one-on-one and defend multiple positions. Whitmore's combination of size and agility could add defensive intensity on switches and in rotations. When you think about what the Warriors were at their peak defensively, they had versatile wings who could guard multiple positions and disrupt passing lanes. Whitmore has that potential. The developmental aspect was where the conversation got most interesting. The panel talked about how Golden State has historically accelerated the growth of young players through their collective style and winning culture. The environment that produced Draymond Green, that developed Jordan Poole for a time, that maximized role players throughout the dynasty years, could help Whitmore evolve as both a scorer and a defender. He needs refinement. But the Warriors have shown they know how to develop talent when they commit to it. The health note was addressed as well. Whitmore was diagnosed with deep vein thrombosis during the 2025-26 season and missed the rest of the year because of it. The analysts acknowledged this is a serious concern that could affect long-term plans for his usage and market value. But they also noted that if he's healthy and progressing in his recovery, the depressed market value could actually work in the Warriors' favor in terms of acquisition cost. The Steph Curry injury update was discussed with some nervousness among the panel. Curry came out over the weekend and said the goal is to be healthy come playoff time, which made some analysts a little anxious about the timeline. He acknowledged that the Warriors know where they're slotted in the standings and that a lot has happened this year, so they just want to get into the playoff series and have a chance. The standings context was provided. The Warriors are currently the 8th seed and are 8 games above the number 11 Grizzlies. It really feels like the top 10 seeds are already worked out for the most part. The Clippers in 10th are about 5 games above the Grizzlies, and Memphis traded Jaren Jackson Jr., so they don't have a lot of talent on that roster anymore. The analysts don't expect any of the bottom feeders of the West to make a significant impact with only about 25 games left, and many of those teams already 10 to 15 games behind the play-in positions. But the show also had some positive news to discuss, specifically the Warriors' impressive win over the Denver Nuggets. Golden State won by 11, 128-117, and it came on the heels of an epic Brandon Podziemski performance. The young guard put up 18 points, 15 rebounds, and 9 assists. What made it even more remarkable was that he had only 3 points and 7 rebounds heading into the fourth quarter, meaning he exploded for 15 points and 8 boards in the final 12 minutes alone. The analysts were effusive in their praise for Podziemski's composure. He wasn't trying to force too much. He wasn't ball-faking his way out of every situation. He just played with confidence and decisiveness. His own comments about the performance were telling. He said everything felt like slow motion, especially those last 2 threes he shot. He talked about how the goal is always trying to find that zone that great players operate in, and that's exactly what it felt like for him. The advice from Curry was mentioned as contributing to Podziemski's breakthrough. Steph talked to him about decisiveness, about not trying to fake your way out of every situation, about being assertive and trusting that good things will come. Shots will fall easier when you're not overthinking, and you get into a better rhythm day in and day out. Al Horford also spoke about Podziemski's growth, noting his assertiveness in the fourth quarter and how he made some really tough shots. Horford acknowledged that for a young guard being asked to play so many different roles game to game, there's a lot of mental shifting required. But against Denver, Podziemski was very clear-minded, especially down the stretch. Horford himself had a monster day with 22 points, 7 assists, and 5 stocks. Nikola Jokic apparently wasn't respecting his three-point shooting, which proved to be a mistake, as Horford went 6 of 7 from beyond the arc. The analysts noted that Horford has been shooting threes effectively for years, and it's great to see him looking comfortable in the Warriors' offense after it took some time for him to adjust. Moses Moody's recent stretch of play was highlighted as well. He had 23 points in 35 minutes against Denver, continuing what has been an outstanding run over the past 6 weeks. Steve Kerr praised him extensively, saying Moody has been brilliant for 6 weeks, shooting lights out with tremendous confidence. Kerr called him maybe their most consistent performer and highlighted his ball defense, which he said is top of the league against pick and roll.